As we celebrate International Women's Day, Hain Celestial is doubling down on female leadership, with women filling both the CEO and chair roles for the consumer goods company. Hain Celestial CEO Wendy Davidson is joining us now in our first interview at the helm. Wendy, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I was just looking at your board of directors. I was just looking at your management team, and indeed, there are women there. How do you go about doing that in a thoughtful fashion that is recruiting smart women and convincing them to come over to Hain when so many companies seem to either not care or have trouble doing so?
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me this morning. Well, I would say that a lot of this work had been done actually prior to my joining the company. We're lucky to have 44% of our board are female. Almost 40% of our leadership in the company are female. So the company had done quite a bit of work before I got there. But I will say that I think there's a misnomer that there isn't available talent. And when I look back over my career, I've been fortunate to work for some really great large global companies that were very invested in the space, and they gave me opportunities to be able to stretch and grow. I've always believed that when you have a seat at that table, you need to make room at the table for more people, make the table bigger. I think this opportunity at Hain offers me the chance to make sure that our leadership of the company at all levels mirrors the marketplace that we're looking to serve with our brands. And we're fortunate to have some really fantastic brands that actually appeal to lots of consumers. So it's a great time to be at Hain.
I want to ask about board composition as well. And I mentioned that both the chair and the CEO at the company are women, and it's two different people, which is also, I think an example of good governance that not all companies adhere to. But in general, we've actually seen a little bit of setback when it comes to the number of women on boards broadly. And I was just reading some information here that maybe one of the ways to get at that is to not raise or even to bring down the mandatory retirement age, and that way roll off some of the men who are on boards currently. How do you think about that issue, how to get more women on boards?
Well, I think there's multiple ways you can get to it. One is that you mandate it. The other, I think, is that we have talent that's ready to be able to lean into those spaces. And then those women that serve on boards, and I serve on another public board as well, that it's an intentional effort by the board to make sure that we are looking broadly when we're looking at candidates to be able to join to the board. The idea that there isn't available talent, that we're tapping into the same people for those roles. I've been involved in lots of women's organizations, first with the Women's Food Service Forum, and then I serve now on the Next Up board, which is really focused on CPG. There are tremendous numbers of women who are ready to serve in these roles. I think the requirement, less so about mandatory age change, but more about, are we looking for a sitting CEO to sit on the board? Because that automatically will reduce the pool of available candidates. But if we look at people with a broad base of experience to be able to serve, but who bring real operational expertise, then you get the best of both worlds. You get a board that has the makeup of the broader marketplace, and you get people who have actual operational experience across a wide variety of functions and may actually be closer to it than people who are a retired CEO.
Wendy, I'm curious as to what you're seeing with women just beyond the board in the lower ranks at your company, because during the pandemic, many left to take care of children and sort of left the workforce. We are seeing the labor market, which is still strong, and that's been a topic for the Fed. So what are you seeing as far as just women in general in the workforce and the labor force of women?
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. And so I would widen my answer beyond just Hain. I think the marketplace saw diverse populations disproportionately impacted during the pandemic because they had more people to care for, and that work-life balance really disappeared. I'm actually a big believer that I think coming out of the pandemic, we have an opportunity to set a tone for how work gets done that is different than the operating models that we've looked at in the past that really didn't service people who had young children at home or who were dealing with multiple ages, even sandwich generation. You're dealing with parents as well as dealing with small children. So we have this great opportunity to be able to invent, what does hybrid really look like? How do you bring people together for moments that matter, but give people the flexibility and the autonomy to work in a way that they can best work and fit the various parts of their life together? you're probably in the same boat I am, that you've had lots of people ask about work-life balance as if it's something that's only unique to women. The reality is work-life balance is for all of us, and finding a way for people to live their best life and work, that those two things aren't mutually exclusive, is a tremendous opportunity. And for me, actually coming to Hain is core to our purpose. How do we inspire healthier living for everyone? But I think healthier living isn't just physically what you're eating, but it's also your mental well-being. And so we have an opportunity, I think, to demonstrate what work can look like in the future, which then makes it easier for women to not have to opt out of the workforce, but they can actually be both a great professional and a fantastic mother.
And speaking of healthier living, you offer a variety of products. I actually love your Parm crisps. They are high-end snacks, though. And in your, last quarter, you saw snacks up double digits in the quarter with yogurt that was up as well. So talk to us a little bit about, has inflation impacted at all what you're seeing with the consumer and your brands?
Yeah, absolutely. Inflation's affected everyone. I think we're fortunate at Hain in that we have brands that tend to play in the entry price point of the premium parts of our category. So take Terra chips, for example. It is the lower end of premium chips, but it is in premium chips. So we tend to skew to a consumer that is less recession sensitive, less price sensitive, but we're not at the highest price point. So it really puts us in a great position. I'm also really proud of the work that the team did. Rather than take 100% of the inflationary impact in pricing, they were really surgical in taking pricing where we needed to, and then really driving a robust pipeline of productivity to offset the balance so that we didn't push everything to the consumer or everything to our customers. And that's allowed us to be able to pick up distribution, to be right there with the consumer. And you'll see us leaning into, especially elevating awareness with the consumer on marketing and consumer activation, which we talked about actually in our earnings just a few weeks ago.
That's great. I want to keep buying those Parm crisps. I want the same amount in those bags.
Please keep buying.
All right. Thank you, Hain Celestial CEO Wendy Davidson, for joining us.